level up, get set, level up, level up, get set, level up, level up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to E20 Zone TV. Monday afternoon. I thought I'd put some colour on to brighten up our days, mate. Trust me. To my right is Lucas. You know who he is. Lucas, how are you doing, my friend?
I have been better. Today's been a bit depressing after what we had to go through yesterday, but it is what it is. Shit happens. That is West Ham to a T.
I agree, mate. I agree. Right, let's get into this. Let's start off with yesterday. You was there. Why did it go so wrong for West Ham yesterday, mate?
Oh, I don't even know where to begin. First off, it was just a total all-around failure from top to bottom. Really, no one is immune from criticism for yesterday because even if there's people that hate Moyes, love Moyes. They really like some players. They really hate some players. Really, it's just an overall collapse from everyone. You can make the argument that Moyes put out his best side, but then you could also argue that he probably should have rotated a few players, especially after Thursday and how absolutely crackered the boys were. But I just got to be honest. Crystal Palace were, for that first 30 minutes, they were really good. And I think there's just some simple tactical issues that just weren't addressed. Like Jack Ellerton put it really good on Twitter that Palace were playing with four midfielders and they outmanned us 4-3 in the midfield. So that always left Eze and Elise by themselves to try and create chances. And then we were just so bad. But again, I don't even know where to begin. It was just an overall failure from everyone. It really didn't look like the players were trying at all. To be honest with you, I think the only player that really gave it their all yesterday was Antonio, in my opinion. Everyone else just so incredibly off it or just absolutely terrible.
I agree, mate. I agree. I was watching it, and to be 4-0 down at Crystal Palace, it's taking the piss out of us to a point. They were taking the piss out of us, and the players and the manager were taking the piss out of us also. For me, yesterday, like, I understand what people say about tired and everything and all that, but this has been coming. Like, this has been happening all the time this season, yeah? And there was times where we hadn't played the game on a Thursday night, and we play a team, and then we get our asses completely handed to us. This reminds me of West Ham of old. This really does. Like West Ham going to a place and just getting their ass absolutely flipping handed to them. Yeah. I look at some of the players yesterday. Angelo Bonner. I know people say he's a sort of person who's been here a long time. He's not the guy anymore. He's simply just not the guy anymore. Yeah, he can't do it. Fabianski's the same. Cresswell's the same. We've got so many players aging and just like what they waiting for. Like,
And not only is it a mix of that, you've
yeah,
also got two players who yesterday had zero. First of all, no one has an excuse. I don't want to hear being tired as an excuse because what happened
agree with this.
yesterday, that was embarrassing. But there's two players, especially, who were absolutely horrific, diabolical to a point that they have zero excuse to play the way they did yesterday. One of them, I cut a bit of slack because I think he's been pretty consistent and good all season. And yesterday, really, I think was maybe his second, maybe third match all year where he was horrific. And then the other one, whose head is somewhere up north of Manchester, zero excuse for his performance yesterday. And again, I'm not trying to pin it on one player, two players, three players, because really it was an overall piss poor effort from everyone. But it's just some of the players that did not play last Thursday have zero excuse for the display they put in.
I agree with you,
yesterday.
mate. I agree with you. The Lucas Paqueta thing baffles me to a point because people are not seeing beyond like him. Basically, they think, you know
And
what,
I'm seeing excuses
Yeah,
that we're ruining certain players. You have got to be taking the piss.
yeah, I agree on this.
Yet,
Really do.
like yesterday, just encapsulates players not trying, not really caring, and people have the gall to say that a certain someone is ruining them. Mate, what I seen yesterday from Lucas Paqueta, you could put down and arguably debate his worst performance in a West Ham kit, and it's just it's frustrating for someone like me because I genuinely do love Lucas Paqueta. I love the kind of player he is. I love everything about him, but the inconsistency is some of the worst I've seen in a player. On his day,
Mm.
arguably world class, but it is worst. Just he's unusable.
I agree. I agree with you on this. I do feel we've got a bit of a problem with Lucas Paqueta because if Manchester City turn around and say they ain't paying the £85 million release clause, then we might have an unhappy player at the club that will
Mate,
probably want to leave.
we'd be lucky to get our money back for him the way he's been playing. I would
He hasn't
snap
been.
I would snap your hand off for 65. I really
Mm,
would. And again, don't get me wrong, I genuinely love Lucas Paqueta so much. I really do. But even Thursday showed that it was a
I agree
bit
on that.
damning to a point because Thursday showed
Yeah.
that we we can play and be competitive and good even without Lucas Paqueta. So
Mm,
with Lucas Paqueta, he's either hindering us to a point or really taking us over the top. And in my opinion, I'd rather have I'd rather have a player that's just steady Eddie.
mm.
You know what I mean? Like it's frustrating one. It really
I
is.
I agree with this comment here. Yeah, he said it says he's not been very good since he's come back from injury. To be fair, like he hasn't. Like that is so true. Like he come back from injury against Brentford, and since then I haven't really. When I've done player ratings, I don't remember saying Lucas Paqueta, wow, wow, wow. It's been Lucas Paqueta's been okay, sort of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? I agree. Yesterday, I thought both of them, Emerson and Lucas Paqueta, were non-existent at all. I just, for me, Lucas, yeah, this feels like it's like how a famous song goes. Like it's fading and dying, basically. You know what I mean, like my dreams. So
The thing yesterday with Paqueta for me, he wasn't even trying. Like to me,
yeah,
because there's been plenty of matches where I've praised Lucas Paqueta for he might have not had the best game, but he worked his absolute socks off. And I've
mm,
said it a million times. That's why I love players like him. He's flary, works incredibly hard, and he does things that other players can't. But there's no excuse for the effort I saw from him yesterday. And again, not just him, arguably everyone in that starting 11. So,
see, see,
bar Antonio, in my opinion.
I agree. I agree. But then we're relying on a 34-year-old centre
Exactly.
forward, which
That's
is
that's
not
the
right.
only that's one of the only things, or that's like honestly to me one of the only options where I can't really criticize Moyes in my opinion because we had no one else. Aguerd hurt, Mavropanos hurt. Are you really going to play Ben Johnson as a second center half in a back four? Are you going to play Cresswell as a second center half in a back four? The back four, in
Mm,
my eyes, was you had to go with that. You could argue Johnson over Sufal. I probably wouldn't have minded that because of Thursday and how
yeah.
tired most of them probably were. But again, yesterday to me, the tactics were wrong, as I've said, and the effort was just terrible. It was piss poor, and we did not deserve to go through that as supporters who traveled all the way there and stayed the whole entire time. I was there for the full 96 minutes, and thankfully, because our support is so funny and full of enthusiasm, we were just singing and making fun of some fat guy in red in the Palace home end. So,
Fair enough. Fair enough. The only thing I will say is, what was it like at full time there when everyone come out and you know?
I mean, there's a few people trying to get some like Moyes out chance going, which I find absolutely disgusting personally. But you know, it's their opinion. I seen a banner at full time thanking Moyes for 3 years in Europe and all that, which was nice to see. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say everyone was like it wasn't like a Moyes or players thing. Just everyone was embarrassed. to be there and go through what they did, which
that is the word, yeah, embarrassing. Yeah.
I mean it is, because like let's be honest, over the past decade, 10 years, whatever, Palace West Ham is always guaranteed to be an absolute corker of a match. Both sides are
Yeah.
always up for it. Both supports always up for it. And it's a London derby at the end of the day. No one wants to get embarrassed like that.
Did
And
they
that's what
score?
happened.
Did they score 5 goals last season? Or was it? I remember the game was meh.
We
It was
lost
4 goals.
4-3.
Yeah, 4-3 last season. Yeah.
So again, I think again, I'm not speaking for everyone, but from what I've seen, I think everyone was just incredibly embarrassed.
I just want to get to this question. Anyone think Kudus will be with us next season? I think he is, mate.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think he's going. I don't think Bowen's going. I think Paqueta's out the door.
Unless someone wants to give us £100 million for Kudus next season, he is going
Yeah.
absolutely nowhere.
Right, but then you got to consider it if someone comes in and says, right, we'll pay you 85 to 90 to 100 million for him. But I don't think he's going anywhere, mate. I think it's next season that he'll be going. Obviously, a video come out late last night and it's gone all around social media in regards of a fan sort of confronting David Moyes. I'm going to get your opinion shortly. I'm going to give you mine first. It wasn't rude to him. It wasn't abusive, but he had an opinion that he wanted to get across, which I understand the reason why he was saying it. The one thing I can't stand is when people say about the trophy. They knock the trophy for the argument with Moyes. Yeah, you can say a lot of stuff about Moyes without bringing the trophy into it, because everyone who was in Prague, everyone was in Stratford the next day. The parade, that basically means fuck all in there, doesn't it? Let's be honest, it means nothing. Like, all them moments basically have been hindered because people don't like David Moyes. Now, you can have a problem with Moyes in regards to style of play, attitude, the way he sets up,
100%.
his interviews, everything. But let's not keep knocking the trophy with, because if that is the case, we might as well just down tools right now and call it a day and say, you know what?
We might as well just give the trophy back. Let's give it to Fiorentina.
Yeah, we might as well just be like Bournemouth or someone, or even like a Crystal Palace, and just go, you know what? We ain't won nothing.
No,
we ain't
but
going to win nothing.
those same people though that say that, they will then they'll turn around and be like, oh, we're so much bigger than you. We're so much bigger than Bournemouth. So much bigger than Palace. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
in the way that you're saying. If you want to give that trophy back and you're discrediting the trophy, you cannot say that we're any bigger or better than sides like Bournemouth. I don't want to
And
hear it.
obviously, listen, everyone's got a right to their opinion, yeah. And I understand what the gentleman was trying to say, yeah. But we're obviously discrediting the sort of, you know, the trophy win as sort of an argument. I don't think it's right.
That's the end all be all of that argument. Is if you do not like Moyes, you don't like his style of football. That is a perfectly fine opinion. No one
Yeah.
will criticize you for that opinion. But once you leather in the trophy as well, that to me, I take offense to, because I mean, you know me. I'm coming up on 10 years supporting this club. You're older than me. You've supported them a lot longer than me.
Yeah.
And I think we both feel the same way. Like, that trophy means everything to us. So when you go and just criticize the trophy and you downplay it, I don't get it. I really don't, because I would rather play in the Conference League 10 more times and win that trophy 5 out of 10 times than play in the Champions League and sit bottom of the group, get eliminated every time.
Yeah. It's like, I agree. I really do. What did you make of that video though, Lucas, when you watched it?
I think I mean, kind of just like what I said, like the opinion I don't mind, but saying that his nan can manage a side to beat Fiorentina, or in his words, Florentina. I find that disgraceful. I really do, and it just shows that he's not appreciative of the work that David Moyes has done. And again,
Yeah.
you can be appreciative of what he's done at West Ham in his tenure here, and not agree with the way he plays football. That's perfectly fine. But in my eyes, as a supporter of the club, not a fan, I'm a supporter. Whatever is best for the club, I will get behind. And David Moyes saved us once, saved us twice, has turned us into a European competing club for 3 seasons, hopefully 4. It doesn't
Yeah.
look like it right now. That should just be appreciated, and I just don't understand the criticism with bringing the trophy into it. Like,
I agree. I do. Listen, I agree with you 100% on that. Like, I have this argument all the time. Yeah, I've had it on Spaces, I've had it on YouTube. When people knock the trophy, that really grinds into me because I'm going to bring up a person as an example who me and you both knew well, who is no longer with us. Yeah, Peach, who was on YouTube for a long time. Yeah, all the way over in Canada. He used to love this club to death. Right, and all the way up to his death, he loved this club. He followed West Ham morning, noon, and night. He would do like like shows for 12 hours straight talking about West Ham. This was a man who loved this club. Sadly, he didn't get to witness the trophy win. Yeah, he obviously passed away a year before it happened, right? And for me, when people knock the trophy, they've got to understand something. Yeah, there's some people who would have loved to have been on this planet and witnessed that, literally witness that moment and go, I was there. I was with family, or I was in Prague, or I was in Stratford, or I was at wherever. They witnessed that in their life. Do you know what I'm saying? And listen, there's hating on Moyes, and I get the hatred. Don't get me wrong, because the way it's just gone so toxic, right? But the trophy needs to stay out of it. It simply needs to stay out of it because that's a West Ham thing. That's not a David Moyes thing. Like that as a collective. That's the fans. That's the whole club as a whole have won us that moment. Do you know what I'm saying? So when I do look at the trophy and I do look at people knocking the trophy, I find that quite hard to sort of accept. Do you know what I'm saying? But with Moyes,
and it shouldn't be accepted.
it's different.
If
Yeah.
you are a supporter of West Ham United, if you criticize that trophy under any circumstance, I have no respect for you personally.
It, you just can't like because if that's the case, if that's how we're going to treat every time a trophy win, like and listen, it ain't like West Ham win trophies every other year. It's like West Ham might not win another in my lifetime. I might not ever witness another West Ham trophy win. Yeah, I might not. Do you know what I mean? If I was if I live for another 30 years and West Ham don't win another trophy, I'm not like that's it. It's game
That's
over.
exactly why these European nights, these European matches, even the group stages and all that, that means a lot to people, and especially I put that under
Mm,
myself as well because I was lucky enough to go to Freiburg away, even though we lost. I felt very privileged to even be there. I wasn't lucky enough to get into the Leverkusen match, but still, even being there, again, I felt very privileged. And when
mm,
you ask all those people that were able to go to Cyprus, Alkmaar, Sevilla, Lyon, like you can never take those nights away from those people. And there's people on Twitter, wherever may have you, that will knock those nights, and
mm.
I just find that disgraceful
Yeah, I do, mate.
because
I
because
agree.
those nights are some of the best of people's lives, and I don't even have to talk about Prague. I don't even need to go there. Best night of
Mm,
my life.
yeah, best night. I wasn't even there, but I was 5 minutes away from the training ground. I was in a boozer in Rush Green, and I cried. I'm not gonna lie, I fucking cried my soul out, mate, that night when we won that trophy, and that meant so much. Like it just all my emotions just come out that night because I've witnessed relegations, I've witnessed everything. Like I don't like to keep saying it because it's like a broken record, but it's like I witnessed everything in my life in regards to West Ham losing all our players, but nearly going out of business. Um, like getting relegated twice. Do you know what I'm saying? Having the struggle of trying to get out of the championship the first season when we went down, then we get done in the playoff final against Palace of all teams. Like I've seen it all, mate, and I've like if even the Steven Gerrard screamer, yeah, at 3-3 in the FA Cup final, the pain when we lost that game when we were seconds away from winning it.
Th-
When you
This
when
is
you
why this is why I can't understand when some people say David Moyes gave us one night.
mm,
No, he didn't give us one night. We had 3 years of Europe, and whoever was lucky enough and privileged to go to those matches,
mm,
that there's like 30 moments that they given them.
like don't get me wrong, Moyes. Moyes has brought this on himself to a point. He has. In certain things, he has brought it on himself with the sort of attitude and everything. Even with the squad size and just everything as a whole. Like ever since Brighton on the 2nd of January, it's just been a downward spiral at West Ham. It's just been like this, like so many games this year that we've sort of sodded up, and it hasn't worked out. And we do need a fresh outlook. And when I sort of went off on one yesterday in regard to the board could easily like sort this situation out. They could give fans peace of mind and reassurance that if Moyes is leaving, then like tell us,
Easily
right?
could do that, but we all know that's just not the way they roll. And no matter
Yeah.
how much you hate or love Moyes, the division, the split opinions, it's all down to them. Because
Mm,
even if Moyes were to have walked away or gone sacked after Prague, we all could have at least looked back and been appreciative of his job, and we wanted a fresh new start, regardless of if you wanted him to stay or not. That would have been a good time. And even right now, with the way things aren't looking, I personally wouldn't do it before the season's over. If it was
mm.
me, I'd do it as soon as the season's over or a couple weeks after. But it's just the board. They've never
I,
been professional. They don't
I think
keep it in
they.
a professional manner.
I'm going to be honest, Lucas. I think they need to say it now. I'll be honest. I think they need to come out and say whether Moyes is staying or going, right? Because if we come to the end of the season and we still don't know what's going on, and then Moyes is let go, I think that is such a bad and cold way of doing it. Yeah, I think if you're going to do this, right, and he's not the guy for you, right, they can say, right, we've come to a mutual agreement. David Moyes is going to leave at the end of the season. We're going to try and enjoy the last 4 games of the season. Yeah, and then thank him for what he has done at the club, because he has done some good stuff at the club. Let's not lie to ourselves. We've had some
Yeah.
really good moments, right? There's been some dark moments, don't get me wrong. So I ain't going to say like blow smoke up his ass and say he's amazing, because he hasn't been amazing in certain things. But I'm going to say this: he deserves that because of what he has done. Yeah, for what he has done at West Ham in regards of Europe and everything else.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm
I
saying?
think in my opinion, people can make whatever assumptions
Mm,
about whatever they want. Like in my opinion, I think Moyes was offered a deal, but he didn't accept it right away because I think in his mind as well, like he just doesn't know what he wants. And I think he has the right and he's earned the
yeah.
right that after the season's done, he can either accept accept the new contract, walk away, or walk away. And he's 1,000% deserved that right. And now, am I saying that's what's best for West Ham United? Not necessarily, but at the end of the day, David Moyes is a man out of contract. Sullivan is a cheap bastard who will
Mm,
reel him right back in if he accepts. But David Moyes deserves to go out in however he wants.
mm. I agree. I really do agree on this one. Like, I do look at the owners. I'm not going to keep banging on about them because I'm getting drained of it. I've been saying it for a long time, but I would not surprise me if Sullivan's waiting to the end of the season to see how the season ticket renewals are going, and then he offers Moyes a contract or something like
Mate,
because
I wouldn't be surprised if the season ends and Sullivan waits on Moyes for 2 months to see if he comes back. I
yeah,
genuinely wouldn't believe. And again, even though I'm saying that David Moyes, the person, deserves to end end this chapter the way he wants, I don't
mm,
necessarily think that's best for the club.
no,
Because again, I support the club. I'm not a David Moyes fan. I support the club, but I'm
mm,
appreciative of what he has brought me in my
yeah.
time supporting this club and everyone else.
I just look at it with that situation is that they're sitting on their hands and they're waiting, right? And what you've got to do, you've got to think a bit outside the box on this one. Yeah, you've got to go, well, why are they waiting? Because if you know that he's not the guy, yeah, and he knows that he's going to be leaving at the end of the season, he ain't got a new contract, there's nothing bad in turning around and saying, that's it. Like, you know what I'm saying? The fans will know. The people who are the most hardened, I mean, hardened Moyes out people will be happy. They'll be happy because they go, right, he ain't going to be here, right? The people who are Moyes in, who have supported him through thick and thin will say, you know what, it's been a good chapter. It's the end of an era, right? And we can now look to the future, and then everyone's happy. Right? It's a win-win for everyone. But instead, with our owner, he sits there and he's waiting. Now, I asked this to the chat right now. Tell me the reason why you think he's waiting. Because to me, on my own personal opinion, I think that he's waiting to see what other managers are about before committing. Like, because if he goes and tries to go for a Potter, but Potter's looking at the Manchester United job, which I believe he's looking at, yeah, I think he's waiting to see what happens with Ten Hag. And if Ten Hag goes, I think Potter will be in the frame there. Um, for me, I do feel that Sullivan's waiting for a reason, and there's a purpose in the reason why he's waiting. Like I see the links today with is it Lopetegui? Is it? Yeah,
Lopetegui,
yeah, right. Called it in January the 11th. I put a tweet out and I said, "Get your money on Lopetegui to be the next West Ham manager because he's another one." Like the links have come out today, and I backed it at 8-1. Yeah, so if it comes in, I'm going to Benidorm for about a month. Yeah, so for me, it wouldn't surprise me if it was Lopetegui who he's waiting for. Like maybe he's waiting to see if he says yes or no on that. Like Lopetegui's in England currently right now. Someone messaged me late last night and said James, he a cab driver or something picked him up and took him to an airport because he was going over to Milan to see because I think Milan were looking at him, but they've decided to go against the idea of having him. That's why when the thing came out late last night, I couldn't believe it. I was like, well, here we go. Well, I think this is on the cards now. Do you know what I'm saying? For me, Lopetegui is a Pellegrini 2.0. I don't want Lopetegui here, but I know that is probably on the cards. But
and that's the whole entire thing for me. Like
yeah,
we've talked about this so many times now,
yeah,
and actually the one thing that does annoy me about like hardcore Moyes outers that have painted this picture about people who are Moyes in or whatever. I don't know. And again, I guess we're part of the so-called Moyes in cult or trolls or whatever. Not once have any of these people they've claimed as trolls or brown nosers.
yeah.
None of them have ever said that they mind an upgrade on Moyes. Everyone is in agreement that if we can find someone that is a step in the right direction from Moyes, we are open to it. And I think everyone is open to that because we support this club. We don't
Mm.
want sideways steps. We don't want backward steps. But the options that are set for us right now and some of the odds that are out, I genuinely would rather keep Moyes. I seriously would.
I think just want to clear up.
I'm talking the realistic
Yeah,
options.
yeah.
Like
I,
to
I,
me, you can have a debate, you can have your opinions all you want, but like just none of the realistic options that are out there right now, especially free agents, because we all know that Mr. Sullivan is not going to buy someone out of their contract.
mm,
It's just you can make the argument that keeping Moyes would be the same, if not better, than the options that are on the table right now.
yeah. I just want to clear something up because you just sort of brought something to my attention. When this sort of like I've got a band of trolls, I just want to make this abundantly clear to the people who are watching. I don't have a band of trolls. I do this because I enjoy doing it. No one, if people follow me, that's up to them. Yeah, but I don't tell people what to do. Like if people are trolling other people on other platforms, it has entirely nothing to do with me. I like to have a bit of peace in my life, so like I would like people to not keep thinking that it's E20, it's E20, E20 because it seems like last night I spoke to someone and they sort of give me like an epiphany to say, James, you need to get away from certain people because they're making you look bad. I'm not a bad geezer. I'll help anyone. I seriously would. If someone's on the ground, I'll pick them up off the floor, like and help them.
If you don't like a difference of opinion, or
Yeah.
you can't talk to someone with a different opinion, socializing is just not for you, and
Mm.
you lack social skills
And
because
I'm just
there are plenty of people that have come on this channel, and I'm speaking for Fever, and I think I
mm,
can speak for him. There's been plenty of times people have come on this channel with an incredibly different opinion or side of the
yeah.
coin of Fever, and he's been able to have a perfectly legitimate, civil conversation and can end the show being mates or being civil. But there's a lot of people out there that because you don't share the same opinion as them, they paint you in this weird light and they just look down on you. No,
Yeah.
that's not the case on E20.
Yeah, listen, as I've always said before we sort of move on, I've always said this that I have anyone on this channel, and I don't mean anyone. If someone come in who I've got like that with, I wouldn't blank them. I wouldn't not have them on. I'd have them on and let them have their say. Simple as that. That's how I work. I don't like to be branded something I'm not though, because I'm actually a generally nice geezer. Yeah, I've got a lot to say. Don't get me wrong. I do shout my mouth off a bit too much, maybe. I've got to sort that out. But other than that, I would help anyone, and I'm not. One thing I am definitely not, and I will say it 1000% is a fucking troll. I don't sit there trolling other channels. Like I keep myself to myself. I've got a missus. Like I've got my job. I'm happy. I'm an happy man. And I just don't like it that I've been branded something that I'm not. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Because I'm better than that. And if anyone else is doing that, anyone else who's trolling other people, they can carry on. But it's got nothing to do with me at all. I'm just going to say that. Um, in regards to the future, Lucas, what are you saying in regards to the future, mate? Because obviously, next up is Liverpool at home.
Um, I I really don't know, but one thing I do know is that it would be typical West Ham with how many matches do we have left? 5 or 4.
Four, I think. Yeah, four.
So we
Liverpool,
got
Chelsea, Luton, Man
Liverpool,
City.
Chelsea, Luton City. It would not surprise me in the absolute slightest. We lose the full or who we lost to? Who do we lose to in our last 3? Or what were our last 3 results? We've lost to Palace,
Fulham. There was someone
Fulham,
else in there.
and Leverkusen. I would not
Yeah.
be surprised if we again, this is so West Ham. I wouldn't be surprised if the points we pick up the rest of the season are against Liverpool and Chelsea, and we somehow lose to Luton and we lose to City. But I will say, whoever goes into Liverpool confident, I would love some of the juice that you got because I mean, the only thing I can really put my hat on is that we should be refreshed, we should be ready to go with a week's rest. But
Mm.
again, this side really has given me no reason to think we can pick up points at Liverpool. We are at home, which is decent. We do love a result against Liverpool at home, especially over the past couple seasons. But
Yeah.
and for anyone wondering, I will be on a plane. I'll probably be in Iceland by that point, so maybe we will get a result. But yeah, I don't know. I always stay hopeful, but I wouldn't say I'm optimistic. But I'm hopeful that we can somehow pull out a point because again, there's some sides that are in and around us for 7th and 6th, and
Mm.
we do need a few favors. But again, we can only control what we can control. If we win and some other results go our way, we could be looking a bit more secure for another season of Europe. But we just have to, just got to graft. You got to want it. And the players yesterday, they didn't want it. So hopefully on Saturday they decide that they want it.
Mm. I'm going to ask you something now in regards to the next manager. Yeah. Obviously, there's links to Potter. Yeah. I've seen Mark Noble mentioned today, which I think isn't the right move. Don't
I
get me wrong.
pray to God that never happens because if
Yeah.
it were to happen and things go south, I don't think I could live.
Yeah. I think what Mark Noble's doing with the youth and being in the background, I think is the right
He needs to
move.
stay in that
Yeah.
same exact position for the rest of his life.
Right. There's him. There's Will Steele's second favourite. There's Steve Cooper.
Jose
There's
Mourinho,
Jose Mourinho, Bielsa. There's the
Fonseca,
Fonseca and all.
and some other random guy I've never heard of.
Yeah. What do you sort of make, as I let Charlie Walsh come in, what do you make of the next manager, Lucas?
Um, like I said earlier, I hope that the next manager is a step forward, but if we're using those options and that graphic that we've all seen today, I really have no hope at all. Like,
Yeah.
I put out a little tweet. I'm personally a huge fan of Graham Potter, but I don't think he'd be successful at this club
Mm.
under our board. The only thing positive is that he would be a head coach again, not really having his he'll have his say in who he wants, but he can work under almost whatever's supplied to him. Jose Mourinho would be an unbelievable appointment. This is what I was going to say. And even if we do get Graham Potter, people are going to hate his football because he's going to be a bit more like a Warburton-esque approach like last season, and we could not stand that.
Yeah.
Jose would be an absolute dream, but unrealistic. That's not going to happen, and people would hate his football again. And then Fonseca, I am intrigued by the idea of him and what he's done at Lille, but again, it is always a bit of a risk to go after someone who's never been in the Prem. And there is some sort of news from David Ornstein. I'm going to read out right now. It's an exclusive. He says West Ham in talks over ambitious move for Ruben Amorim. If David Moyes goes, Julian Lopetegui also assessed, but Amorim, current top target, West Ham United said to appeal, but unclear where they sit among 39-year-olds options. Liverpool looks unlikely. Way.
Right. So it's one of the
No, no,
geezers that
you can't. Hold on. I know what you're going to say, but you cannot say all that after this Lopetegui talk
I
that you
know.
put money on
I
him.
said Lopetegui, but I did say about Elrin as an ambitious one. That shows ambition to me. Like if that's true, are you sure that is the real him though? Like that ain't some.
Yes, I
Yeah.
have his notifications on.
Right. You
Yeah,
have his.
it definitely is the real one, by the way.
Right. Charlie Walsh, welcome, mate. Good to speak to you on this
How
fine
are
Monday.
you?
Stressed, mate. Stressed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
West Ham, life, all this shit. You know what I'm saying? Charlie, what did you make yesterday, mate? And West Ham in general?
Oh, it was crap. To be honest with you, I said this earlier on the video me and Gio did, but like, I've seen bad defensive performances before. Like, I'm not like we're West Ham fans. We've seen a lot of them. I've watched Roger Johnson versus Manchester City. I've seen horrendous defensive performances before. It was god awful yesterday. The defending, like, I feel harsh saying it, but I genuinely don't know if I can ever see Kurt Zuma and Ogbonna in a defensive, like in a position again, because it was unbelievable. They literally were just walked through, and it's unfathomable. The drop off that Kurt Zuma has had in the last 12 months is incredible. Like 12 months ago, I would have said, look, he's injury prone as all hell, and he's slow, and he's very awkward. But when he plays, he at least is good. When he plays, you can trust him, you can depend on him. Yesterday, holy hell, just a different. It was like different players I've never seen before in my life.
It was like players who never played football in their life. You know what I'm saying? That's how bad
insane.
it was. Yeah. Like, I don't know, mate. I don't know. It's like yesterday was just crazy for me though, Charlie. Like, I don't know about you, but I think West Ham were going to go there and win. I don't know. I wasn't confident to a point, but to go out and be 4-0 down and they're all laying all around South London,
I know.
that to me, that is just a bit of a kick in the bollocks to everyone. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, Lucas was there, and what do you do in that situation? Like, there was, I see a photo of a geezer walking out of the ground, and there was like lots of stuff on social media where people would just sort of said, "I've had enough of this. I'm going home." Like, you've travelled all that way down there, spent money, you're in there for half hour, and you just turned around and gone home. It's just like, it's not right, mate, is it?
I mean,
Like,
anyone want to doubt Lucas's passion for this club to travel that far to just get absolutely smashed by Crystal Palace
Mate,
away?
I was literally singing "Boom, boom, boom." I want you in my room, literally for 2 hours because Palace just kept scoring. Oh, and mate, by the way, Palace, what an absolute shithole ground! And you want to talk about cringe atmospheres? They literally play that song after every time they score. It's so weird. And their songs are absolute
Bro,
shit.
when I think it was the fourth goal, I think that was the first time I remembered it happened because for some reason on the first three, I didn't hear it for whatever reason. And I'm sat there on the watch along and I'm slumped in my chair. The fourth goal was just gone in. And then I noticed the goal music and I literally said out loud, I went, oh, now I've got to deal with fucking goal music. No,
And
like, I don't,
not only did we deal with it, we embraced it, as
I
West Ham
remember,
supporters do.
I remember, me and Gio went to Crystal Palace, a women's match, Crystal Palace away, West Ham versus Crystal Palace away, and the goal music came on when they scored, and me and Gio just looked at each other and being like, "What the heck? You cannot have goal. What is going on here?" And then West Ham, I think, equalised about 10 minutes later from a penalty, and me and Gio were just giggling to ourselves because there was no goal music that time.
That the argument for that song is put to bed that it doesn't get the people going. It got everyone going in the ground.
Just unbelievable. You can't have listen. Lots to say very positive about Crystal Palace yesterday. I thought they played really well. I thought Eze playing in that sort of, I compared it to when we play Paquetá up front and he's doing the hold up play and all that stuff. He did that way better than I thought he was capable of doing it yesterday. I have so many good things to say about Crystal Palace yesterday, or positive things to say about the Crystal Palace side of it, not us. But goal music, you can't have goal. You just can't. I'm sorry. It's just not allowed. That's not okay. I'm sorry.
Well,
You can have as many good players as you want. You can't have goal music.
I know, mate. I know. What did you make of what happened after the game, Charlie? With in regard to you've probably seen it, but the
I
fans.
actually haven't seen it. I assumed when I first joined, I think you were talking about it, but I haven't actually seen it at all.
Yeah, basically, a fan confronts Moyes, doesn't swear at him, just says basically, you need to go. This Moyes boys defense is just this Moyes ball defensive football is not good enough. Like we need better than this, and basically, then he goes on to say that his nan could have won the Conference League against and the only two teams we played were any good were AZ
I mean,
and
that's a
Fiorentina.
lie for a start.
Right. So, well, what do you make of the Moyes situation currently right now? Because it's toxic beyond toxic, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, look, me and you, we spoke about it a couple of months ago, and yeah, it's only got worse. And I think you two were having an interesting conversation before I joined about when if David Moyes is to go, when you announce it, and if he is the problem is I think the problem is I don't think they're sure of whether he's going or not. But if at this point or whenever it happened that they were sure, I think they would need to announce it as soon as possible because the toxicity is just it sucks, doesn't it? I mean, it's like you see it a lot. You both will see it just as much as I will when you do videos and people in comment sections or live chats, and then you see it on Twitter. And if that sort of thing spills out into the real world like that, I mean, like not liking David Moyes is totally fair. Wanting to have a different manager, different style, all of that sort of stuff, totally fair. Even saying you can say whatever the hell you want online, really. I mean, you can say whatever you want about David Moyes on Twitter or whatever, but I think if people are going up to him in person, again, I haven't seen the video, so I can't really talk about that specifically, but I do think it's just needless,
As I said to Lucas, I can understand it. I understand the frustration when your team's just been absolutely obliterated. You're going to have the ump. You're going to have the ump. Simple as that. Especially if you've travelled far. Like you never know. This person might not be from London. He might be from somewhere else. He might even be from abroad. You just never know. Like, do you know what I mean? Look at Lucas, for instance.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So to go out after and say something, I can understand the frustration. And I think it's good that sort of fans do sort of voice their opinion in a correct way without being abusive. Do you know what I'm saying? And they don't need to go at the manager and fucking literally steam into him, so to speak. But as I said, I've always said the trophy win shouldn't be brought into this. Like this is on Moyes. And also, I think people need to start saying about the ownership of the club. Now, obviously, I'm seeing the links. I just had a look on my phone about Ruben Amorim. Decent manager. I've said it for a long time. I think what he's done at Sporting Lisbon is very, very good, and I'd love him at West Ham. But if it's seeing it and getting it are two different things. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if we do end up getting him, then I will give the board a lot of credit for that and say, fair enough. At last, we've got an ambitious board. But it just wouldn't surprise me if it's a cheap and cheerful appointment, because that's what we've always seen, isn't it? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I think what Lucas said about the idea of like, and you've said this many a times as well, James, to give you credit, and Lucas said it just about 5 minutes ago. Like, they will never, they never pay for managers. They never ever
Yeah.
pay for managers, and that's why, I mean, someone in the chat, I can't remember who it was. I apologize for whoever it was in chat, said, why is it we always get managers who have failed at other clubs? I think it was probably when you were talking about Graham Potter at the time.
Yeah.
It's because of that. We don't ever pay for a manager. So the idea of someone like Ruben Amorim, and I think the first time we spoke about Fonseca, before Pellegrini came, when Fonseca was originally linked the first time,
Yeah.
and like that would have been a sort of Amorim style appointment where there is some ambition to it, and not what ends up happening with David Moyes and stuff. And I think as much as and you know me, I'll say a lot of good things about David Moyes before I'll say bad things. His appointment wasn't exactly ambitious. It was the exact opposite of ambitious. It just happened to be that it worked out.
Exactly.
My concern,
And he
Go on,
proved
Lucas.
us wrong.
Yeah,
99%
100%,
of us.
100%. Like and I've publicly said this. I spoke about it on a watch along yesterday. I think I was one of the more anti-David Moyes people when he came back the first time. When he came back the second time. I mean, for 6 months, I was probably overly harsh, if I'm being honest about it. I was ranting and raving like crazy.
Yeah.
And sometimes you say you got it publicly wrong, and I think that's fine. And I think at this point, if we were to get someone like Amorim, if we were to get someone like Fonseca, for example, that'd be great. I'd still have massive reservations about the club in general, just because of having a great manager, awesome. That's a step in the right direction. But we've still got to sort out the transfer department massively, because you can't have David Sullivan involved in that in any way, shape, or form. Because we've had it for however long they've been here, 12 years, and it's been a terrible, terrible time, most of it. So we need to sort that out. And having a great manager is one thing, but you need to sort that out as well. And until we sort that out, you can never truly progress as a club.
I don't know why, but my missus has just sent me something and said to me, James, you're being clipped up for a major music artist video or something. I was like, well, fair enough. And this she's winding me up, is what it is. Lads, what do you about this comment from Michael? Yeah. Question for the panel. Can you see us getting another point this season? We have shipped 63 goals already. Charlie, what you saying?
Oh yeah, I can, yeah. Don't know how
Who?
many. I mean,
Who
here's
we-
the thing.
Who are we
Here's the thing.
beating? Yeah, go on.
We could if you tell me you don't think we have a chance to get a point against Liverpool, Chelsea, or City, then I wouldn't believe you. I feel like we could get at least 1 point there. Luton's obviously a big opportunity as well at home, last game of the season. Especially if Moyes stuff is confirmed before that, then there'll be a much better atmosphere there. If Moyes stuff hasn't been confirmed before that, then I think it's going to be probably pretty toxic, that Luton game. But if it has been, then I think the atmosphere will be a lot more positive and a lot more supportive. A lot more supportive of the players and the team and stuff. But I mean, our style was set up to take on teams like Chelsea and Manchester City and Liverpool. It's not exactly going to be easy. I'm not exactly sitting here thinking, oh yeah, we'll easily get points against all them. But I mean, we can realistically get at least 1 point from all of them. If that's the bar we're setting, which is what we're setting from the question, we can easily get, well, not easily, but we can get a point from one of those.
I'll
games.
go with
I'm going-
4.
Yeah, I'm going with 4-0.
And
I think-
hopefully we catch City last match of the season. They've already won the title. Maybe that could be 5.
No, we ain't beating City. Like, that's definitely. Well, we ain't getting nothing at City. If
Yeah,
we can't,
but we love a random draw.
I know we love a random draw, mate. But listen, let's put it this way: there's absolutely no chance that we're getting anything up in City, mate. Especially if they are trying to compete for the Premier League.
Oh yeah, well that's why I say let's hope they have won the league by then.
Charlie, how do you see it sort of going for the future of West Ham? Because are you nervous for the future, or are you excited, or where do you land on it? Yeah,
I'm no more nervous than I usually am.
yeah.
It's,
I know what you're saying.
I don't know. Part of me's excited for next season because we're probably going to have half a new squad. I mean, I think it's. Here's the thing. I do believe that we're in for a crap season or two. I think there's going to have to be such huge changes in the playing squad, and given the way finances in football work these days, it's not something that can be solved. The issues that we have in that squad are too big to solve instantaneously in a single window or even two, and especially if we are getting a manager who plays a different style of football than David Moyes, then that means we're going to have to make even more changes. You're looking at a significant portion of the starting 11 as well as the squad having to change if we're playing a different style. So it's going to be a really big couple of years of turnover. And I'm more positive than I usually am just because we have people like Tim Steidten in place who should be able to help with that. But if they don't have the power to be in control of that transition, then we're just going to be in the exact same place we always are, which is basically riding our luck. And that's not a good thing to have as a club, and it won't change until David Sullivan backs away from being involved somewhat.
I agree with you on that. What about you, Lucas? To round it up, future.
I mean, really, the same as what Charlie said. Nothing will ever change at this club until David Sullivan and Brady are gone. And yeah, it's just like even with this Almiron news, we all know season ticket renewals are closing in a few weeks, and we'll probably get the typical "we tried" from Sullivan. Same with what Brady came out with. David Moyes really wanted Cole Palmer, and we tried really hard, but Chelsea came in. Well, I'll believe it when I see it, but yeah, nothing will change until we see it with our own eyes or the current board and owner leave. So,
See, the thing
and
is,
there's only one manager we all know that can deal with our current board and still keep us competitive and kind of get our fix of competing in European football or close. So
the thing is, like, I'm just sick and tired. I keep saying it about the board. Like, as I said earlier on, this situation can be sorted out right now, and they're not prepared to do it. Yeah, to have the links come out today of Lopetegui, now it's Almiron, that tells you that they're scrambling about to try and see what they can sort of get. It wouldn't surprise me if they have gone for him or they've been in contact with him and see what his availability is. Obviously Liverpool is sitting there, so there's going to be a big club, literally, like, that's a massive club, so a massive manager's going to want that. But if we did go and get Ruben Almiron, I think that's a great appointment. I've said it for a long time, but it would not surprise me if Lopetegui is the guy. Like, if it's Sullivan, it's Lopetegui. If it's Steidten, it's Almiron. It's as simple as that. It's straight down the line, and there's no middle between that. So we will find out. But it's just this season's been draining. I don't know about you, Charlie, but have you found it on Hammer's Chat like this season? Because for me, I am completely fucked, mate. It's like drained of energy.
Yeah. It's a long one, isn't it? I feel it's a long one, and I think do you know what? It's a long one, and I think the discontent among the fan base has made it feel longer and more difficult. I think if there have been previous seasons under Moyes where we've done exactly the same thing we have this season, even last season, for example, I don't felt as long as this. I think this one, it really feels like, I think because the vibe in the fan base has sort of reached fever pitch now. And we have gone on a really terrible run now, as opposed to last season where we sort of picked it up. This season it seems to be the opposite way around, where we started relatively well and then have dropped off. It feels a lot worse this year than it did last. It feels a lot worse than it did last.
I actually agree with you on this, mate. I really do. Like, I remember when I first started out doing the YouTube game, and it was hard then, because I didn't know how to sort of do videos, and like, 'cause obviously I was doing like 2-3 hour videos sometimes, and you said to me, like, cut it down. But when I look at it now, this season as a whole, it just feels like it's drained the life out of everyone. Like, on every different platform, everyone can't wait for the finish line to come, basically. And like, I think everyone after the Manchester City game, which is the final game of the season, think everyone would be relieved to a point to go, you know what? That's it. I'm not doing nothing else for a couple of weeks because I don't think nothing's going to come out for a couple of weeks in regards to Moyes. Because if it ain't going to come out now, they're going to wait. But
I think I think if he's leaving, it will know almost straight after the final whistle. Which for me and you is
yeah, but
worse
do you?
because
Yeah,
we'll finish our reviews and we'll do all that, and then we'll have that moment where we have a bit of relief and we go,
yeah,
right, we can have a bit of rest, and then almost within a couple of hours, I suspect it would be announced if he is going.
yeah, yeah. I agree, mate. I agree with you. Well, I'm going to round this up in a minute, but I'm going to ask you, Charlie, while you're here, and ask Lucas the same thing. If it is Moyes' final goodbye, which we all believe it is, how will you remember him, Charlie, for his time at West Ham?
As the dude who won us a European trophy. I mean, like I'm not as negative as some people are on him anyway, but like once he's gone, I don't like once he's gone, the idea of style of football and all of that sort of goes away, and I think you just remember the sort of the achievements and that European trophy, or that trophy in
Right.
general. If you want to denigrate it, I mean, it's such a massive achievement for us as a club, and I won't ever think about it in any other way. If you're someone who hates the style of football, who hates David Moyes and all that, that's your opinion. That's fair. But realistically, once he's gone, and we can't complain about him defending anymore, I feel like what's left is the achievements, and that is such a massive thing for me. And I won't be able to. And this is again coming from me, who was maybe one of the harshest critics of David Moyes going at the beginning, first period, second time he came back for a while. I wouldn't be able to think about anything other than that, to be honest.
What about you, Lucas? How will you remember David Moyes if it is his final hurrah?
I'll remember him solely for the memories and moments that he's brought to the club and myself. No one, no matter how much they hate him, hate me, hate whoever, they'll never take away the moment in Prague that I had with everyone, and being a part of 50K people in the country, being there to support West Ham, and all the European journeys and matches we got to see and play, because no one ever would have thought we've seen that. Even with Bilic, when we qualified and we lost to Asher Gugu, after that, like, who would have ever thought we're never going to make it, we're never going to play any sort of significant European football in our lifetime. There's one man that brought it to us, and he deserves all the plaudits and all the respect for that alone. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I understand what you're saying. I just think basically he was the hero last year. Now he's the villain of the piece. And for me, this should have been sorted out last summer. It really should have been. But obviously, it's going to get sorted out this summer. I am nervous about the summer. I'm not going to lie, because it's like a toss of a coin who we're going to get. On the one hand, you got Lopetegui. On the other hand, you got an ambitious manager in Almiron. Now, for me, it's pretty black and white. If it's Lopetegui, it's Sullivan. If it's Almiron, it's Steiner, and we will know the truth. Like, for me, Moyes has been hit and miss. Like, there's been some really, really amazing moments. Obviously, Prague being top of the tree, but then there's been some dark moments this year where we've been absolutely slapped. And that reminded me West Ham a long time ago, going to places and just getting absolutely smashed to bits. Obviously now we've got to look to the future, and we need to see serious investment in this club. We need to all come together from next season, and then rebuild and start again. Do you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of fracture in the West Ham community right now, like in regards to Moyes, and I actually will be relieved when it is announced that he's going to a point. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I'm fucking tired. I'm literally tired of this whole situation. But you can't discredit him for what he has done. And what he has done at West Ham is he's give us a standard that no other manager has ever done. Every other manager that's been at West Ham, especially in the Premier League era, there was never a standard at West Ham. It was just to compete in domestic trophies and basically try and finish as high up in the league as possible. Now, it's a case of that ain't the case. West Ham are expecting now rather than just appreciating wherever we land. So, um, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. It really is, and
Yeah, I agree.
see where we go from here. Do you know what I mean, Charlie?
And
Anything you?
if you do discredit that, personally, from me to you, you can fucking do one.
Fair enough, mate.
Strong
Fair enough.
words from Lucas.
Listen. I ain't gonna. Ain't me. It's him. It's him down there. Do you know what I'm saying? Charlie, anything you want to say, mate? Anything on your mind before I wrap this up? Anything you want to add? Or
I mean, the first thing is that everyone should subscribe to E20's own TV and like the video if you haven't already. What are we doing here, people? Jesus Christ. Yeah, no, I just fancied a little afternoon chat of West Ham. Never a bad thing. Never a bad thing, even in the most dire of times. But yeah, I think, listen, whatever happens at the end of this season, like you say, I think there's going to be a lot to talk about, a lot to break down, a lot of expectations to set and to settle, and to lots of different things to go through. But one thing that I'm hopeful is that actually once it's all done and dusted, we can leave some of the toxicity that exists behind and actually come together as a sort of fan base and not have what at the moment feels like World War III non-stop constantly.
yeah, I agree with you, mate. Lucas, it's been a pleasure. Before we go, I'll need to ask you, because obviously you've been over here. I am going to try and meet up with you this week before you go. How will you sort of look back at your time in the UK, mate? Because you've been over here for the last 2 months. You've been here, there, and everywhere. Been to Germany twice. You've seen us win. You've seen us lose. You've seen us go out of the competition. What are you saying, mate, for your time in the UK?
Firstly, it's always privileged first. Can't complain about my situation back home, because a lot of people everywhere around the world not as lucky as some people to be in situations where they can work when they want, how long they want, make whatever money they want. So firstly, just privilege for that, and then yeah, just privileged to be able to stay in a country for 2 months and watch West Ham, and just be grateful for all the friendships made along the way, all the mates to go into the football with, and yeah, just being able to experience life. It's great.
Experience West Ham. Trust me. It's good for your blood pressure, but like that, if you need your blood pressure checking, just fucking support West Ham, mate. Listen, I'm going to wrap it up there, gentlemen, but it's been a pleasure to have both views on. Lucas, I'm going to catch up with you in the week at some point before you make a move back to the US. My final sort of thing is this, that the show must go on. Right, next up, Liverpool. And we've got 4 games left, people. That's all I'm going to say. It's 4 games left, and then the season's done, and then we can all go off into the sunset, chill out, and see what the hell is going to happen in the future. Like, at the minute, it's draining, and it is draining the life out of me. I'm not going to lie. I'm sitting, well, when I'm doing shows and videos and all that, I don't want to sit there and go and berserk all the time. But it's just, at the minute, there's nothing really good about what's going on at West Ham minute, is it? Let's be real. So, 4 left. We will be back at the weekend. I've got so much happening this week. Also, I'm gonna get on a person who's a big West Ham fan, Dave Clark. Anyone knows Dave Clark from RPG TV? He's a presenter there. Someone bumped into me and said to me, James, he's a big West Ham fan. Get him on. He plays ball and everything. And I spoke to him today, and he's looking to come on this week. So anyone who follows the Greyhound racing, they will know who he is. I'm going to get opposition preview up and running this week also from the Liverpool side of things. I'm going to try and get hold of Jack. And yeah, the show must go on. Liverpool next, and we'll see what happens. But I'm going to let you go. Enjoy your day wherever you are, and I will see you again in the next one. Babush.
Level up, get set, level up.